Here we are at Martin Voelker and Bettina Voelker's home in South Golden, and Martin's going to tell us about his house, which is on the solar tour. And go ahead and tell us what we're looking at, Martin.
Hi, so this is my wife's and my house. We've moved here in 2004 and finally did an energy remodel on the whole house where we try to get as close to net zero as possible. And the goals were to, first of all, improve the building envelope so we're not losing as much heat. And also to power our electric car, which we got last year, and basically to cover all of our energy needs, including the geothermal system that we are using to replace the gas furnace, which is now gone.
So I see solar panels on this north-facing, well, it's not north-facing, it's really northwest-facing.
It's actually due west.
Due west,
Yeah,
that's good. So
it's due
the
west.
east side of the house has, or you say the south side has panels, not the east
south
side?
side has panels as well.
Okay.
Those were installed in 2006,
Okay.
and we added these last year
okay.
to accommodate the electric car.
Yeah. Oh, okay, good. So let's go inside and check out the features of it. Or is there anything more you want to say? I think we can talk about the windsurts. Tell us about the windows, because that's really fascinating.
Yeah, windows are a really expensive thing to replace in a house. They almost never amortize. And so we decided to go with a local company that makes inserts for windows. They call them windsurts. And the idea here is you custom manufacture double pane kind of storm windows, but very high quality, with a rubber gasket, and they are then pressed into the inside opening of the window.
Yeah, those are the dark frames that you see for the windows up there. Now, this means you can't open the windows for fresh air, doesn't it?
That is correct, but when we moved here, the windows were original and beyond repair, so we replaced them, and I decided to make most of the windows inoperable, because I knew in order to have ventilation, you only need operable windows on opposite sides. And so we went with that. And so for this project, we were able to replace 17 windows, which were either fixed or almost never opened, with windsurts. Well,
Not replace them, but to add windsurts to them.
add windsurts to them.
Windsurts, is that a trade name, I guess?
It is a trade name.
Yeah. But what they basically are is like storm windows, modern storm windows, which are tightly sealed to the frame and are double pane.
And are double pane, although you can also buy them in single pane.
Yeah.
And the main application is actually for commercial buildings, where most windows aren't operable anyway.
True.
And aesthetic concerns do not matter. The boss tells you we get these windows.
Yeah, right.
But it's a way to modernize leaky industrial buildings in a snap, because there's no labor cost.
Yeah.
As soon as these are measured and manufactured, anybody can press them into the opening and you're good to go.
Okay. Well, we should point out that you have really a zero-scaping or zero-scaping front yard, so no more grass to mow.
No more grass to mow.
Yeah.
And the birds and butterflies were extremely happy about
all those sunflowers.
All the sunflowers.
Yeah, right.
It was a banner year for sunflowers.
I see you have your Chevy Bolt plugged in here.
Yeah, my wife took it over the weekend, and earlier today we had wonderful sunshine, so I plugged it in to recharge.
Okay. Yeah. So nice ground cover here. What's this?
My friend Gilla would be able to tell you.
Oh, okay. Okay. But no grass. Okay.
So here you see the windsurts from the inside.
Yeah.
And our project manager actually put in a thermometer. This is the lead,
the sensor,
for the thermometer, so we can measure the space in between those two
The temperature.
The original windows
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and the windsert and then the insert.
So this is really, you've got a double pane window and a dead air space and another double pane window. So what's the R value of this window now?
I would say it definitely doubled.
Yeah.
The original one, which still isn't a lot,
Yeah.
but in order to get very high values for windows, you'd have to buy European windows at exorbitant prices.
Yeah.
So this is pretty much the best you can do if you don't want to spend 40 grand.
Yeah, right. Okay, let's go inside now. So we're in the kitchen. Why?
We're in the kitchen because we are completely off gas, so we do not have a gas stove. We have an induction electric cooktop, and it heats the water extremely fast.
Have you got water in there?
I've got some water in there. As you can see, it's already starting to bubble. Typically within a minute or so, it's ready for your tea.
I see.
And the other benefit is it's very easy to clean these surfaces.
Yeah.
And nothing but the pot gets hot. Nothing
Right.
but the pot. So you can use the rest of the surfaces to put stuff on that you've prepped.
Right.
And it's easy to clean.
Yeah. Actually, okay, look, it's starting to boil now, and you only just turned it on. So that is much faster than if it was a gas.
Not only that, it also, if I dial it down, it instantly goes down, just
Yeah.
like gas.
Yeah.
You don't get hot handles.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
It's a real pleasure to work with.
Yeah. Actually, the funny thing was, I after you cooked it, I felt here, and it was actually hot, but that's only because the pan heated the glass.
That's right.
There's no filament or anything that heats
It's
it.
not terrible. I mean,
Oh, it's a little too hot to touch,
too hot to touch.
but it's only because the hot pan was on it, not because
Yeah.
it was heated from below.
I'm really pampered. I don't want to go back to any other way of cooking after
Yeah.
that.
Are you the cook in the family?
I'm the cook.
Oh, okay, great.
I'm also the eater.
Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, so where do we go from here? To the basement?
Actually, let's take a look outside.
Yeah.
From here, and then we'll walk out.
Now, I know you drilled 3 wells out there, 300-foot deep wells for geothermal, but you'd never know it.
You'd never know it.
Yeah.
They were situated in a triangle and then combined with trenches. But all of this is way underground. And we covered everything and decided to also get rid of the lawn. So now it was all plowed over, or plowed under rather.
Yeah.
And then we put several layers of mulch on it.
Yep.
So we can start afresh in a year.
Okay, great. Perhaps you can make out this pole which has 2 clotheslines on it going in a triangle there. So you use the sun to dry your clothes, but you also have a condensing dryer here. Explain how the condensing dryer works.
Actually, I have no idea how it works. It's a black, or in this case, white box. But what it does is it does not have a duct, which is a big plus in a tightly sealed house, because duct is essentially a penetration of the wall.
Right. It's
where
also
you lose heat.
Right. You're pumping heat out of the house.
Pumping heat out of the house, and you're also opening up yourself to influx of
when it's not running.
When it's
Yeah.
not running.
But does it heat up the room?
No.
How can it be not heating up the room if it's drying clothes?
That's because it's a mystery box. But what it basically does, it condenses the moisture in the clothing, and then it goes into a little tiny bucket that you have to empty out.
Oh,
once in
so
a
you
while.
have some condensation
There
there.
is some condensation. I mean, it can't.
Yeah, right.
It can't just
Right.
disappear.
Right. And I guess water absorbs heat, so that's probably where some of that heat goes.
That's true.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What's next? Downstairs?
Next, we go downstairs.
You said you do have a line in here for drying clothes as
For the winter, we often put it on a simple rack,
Oh, okay.
and between the two of us, or it's typically enough to
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
get the clothes dry.
Okay. So this is where the pipes come in from the three wells outside. The pipe on the left is drawing the fluid out of those 300-foot wells, and the one on the right is returning it. And the fluid that comes out is at the temperature of the earth, which is 55 degrees, correct?
That's about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now from here, it goes through these pipes into the next room where we have the heat pump, which then processes the fluid to either add heat or to reduce heat so that you can heat or cool the house. So you're planning to use it for air conditioning, not just heating, correct?
And we have done that.
Yeah.
And
For
with
this-
the summer almost over, for the most part of the summer, we had the heat pump working as
Air
AC,
conditioning. Yeah, right.
as an air conditioner.
Okay, so that being a heat pump, it probably doesn't use a whole lot of electricity to do that, but the real benefit is that it's starting out at 55 degrees, so it doesn't have to chill it much for air conditioning, and doesn't have to heat it much for heating, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
And the coefficient of performance is 4. So for every unit of energy, meaning electricity, we put in, we get 4 units of energy out, which is pretty neat.
Yeah.
And
And then this is the is this your domestic hot water tank?
it looks like a domestic hot water tank, but what it is actually just storage. Whenever the Bosch unit heats water that isn't really needed, it goes into that tank.
Oh.
And that is then preheated water for the domestic hot water heater.
Oh, so-
which is also a heat pump.
Yeah, but the heat pump isn't needed that much if your geothermal is so you actually have a coil in there. This is a special heat pump water heater because it's sort of dual energy in a sense. It's got a coil from the hot water from your heat pump.
Well, yeah. In the United States, the only heat pump water heaters that are sold are hybrid.
Yeah.
So that in
They're
case,
hybrid electric.
In hybrid electric. So in case you need water quickly, you can spend a lot of money and electricity.
And use resistance
and
coils.
Use resistance coils.
Yeah.
So that's actually a bit of a problem because they could be a lot cheaper than they are now. They're around $1,500.
Right.
If they didn't have this dual mode.
Yeah.
But they are also very efficient, and they're improving all the time. I bought this in 2018, and 2 years later, the next best unit is now 4 times as has an. How do I express this? So this has an efficiency factor of 3, and just 2 years later, the company Rheem comes out with a unit everybody's buying now because it has an efficiency factor of 4.
I bought one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not everybody can use these because you have to have a bit of surrounding space, because that is an air source heat pump.
Right.
So it depends on drawing in warmer air and then using the heat pump to gradually heat the water.
But the main thing about this, which is unique for most installations, is that you're actually drawing hot water out of this and running it into the bottom of this tank through a coil, I presume, to heat up the water so that the heat pump in this doesn't have to work as hard, correct?
That's correct, but there's no coil involved.
No, I mean the coil in
the coil is in here.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
The compressor.
Coils in there.
Yeah, this is just.
That's just a simple tank.
Warm water from.
Yeah.
From the Bosch heat pump.
But the main thing is that this heat pump water heater, unlike mine, doesn't have to start from the temperature at which the city is delivering, because you're preheating that input using the waste heat, I guess, from the heat geothermal.
And then there's another synergy. I actually moved our freezer
Yes, right.
into this space because it also produces warm air that
Yep.
then is being sucked up by
Right.
the
Right.
pump water heater.
Right. Because that's what the heat pump does is it moves heat from the room into the water, which means it's moving cold air into the room. Right. So another synergy might be to put that in a wine cellar and have it cool the room.
Yeah, that's an expensive proposition.
For the wine. Yeah.
For the wine.
Yeah, right. Okay, so over there, I guess we'll go around to get to the CERV. Let's go around there and you can explain the CERV. Yeah. Okay, so this is the CERV, which stands for Conditioning Energy Recovery Ventilator. And the conditioning means that it is not only circulating the air and bringing in fresh air from outside, but it also has the ability to warm the air, correct?
Yep. And as for the filtering part, here are the two filters, and as you can see, after just 2.5 months, that filter with the outside air coming in is already pretty dirty.
Yeah, right.
And the other thing you might see here is that bluish light.
Oh yeah,
we installed
ultraviolet light in there.
Ultraviolet light to kill viruses.
Yeah. Yeah, good. So as it says here, that's return air from inside, and over here it is fresh air from outside.
Yep. And what I like most about it is I'm always reminded of the marvelous film by Brazil by Terry Gilliam, where you have lots of scenes where a plumber is working inside houses that are full of ducts.
Yeah, right. Okay, so in the control panels over here, now this also manages your carbon dioxide level, I believe.
It manages them. It measures both carbon dioxide and VOCs, volatile organic compounds.
Yeah.
And if they hit a certain threshold, for instance, if we had a large group of people in here,
right,
the temperature might be fine for the house, but if it hits that threshold, then it kicks in automatically and scrubs it.
And what basically does, I think, is bring in more fresh air from outside, because in order to flush out the high CO2 level air, correct?
It dilutes it.
Yeah, dilutes it. Yeah, yeah. Right, and the input from this is not just from outside; it's probably from your kitchen and bathrooms too, right?
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah. This replaces the exhaust fans from people's bathrooms that go to simply pump air outside.
Yes, while I must admit they still exist. We still have.
Okay. So you didn't replace those.
We did not replace those.
Yeah. Okay. But in an ideal installation, that would include having some of the input be from those bathroom fans and the kitchen cooking fan.
Yeah, and these systems are upgradable. So if you make changes, then you can put sensors also into bathrooms or kitchens specifically, so that to prevent the system from being fooled. In essence. If there's a localized source of VOCs or CO2, then you have to have those sensors where those sources are.
Yeah. What would be an example of a VOC that would get higher in the course of a day? Because I think of VOCs as being things like from building materials or from carpeting, but that's a steady VOC level. What would increase a VOC level?
Well, actually, I believe that a gas stove, if
you had natural gas.
And I mean, many people are wedded to that as their favorite cooking way of cooking, but that could trigger it.
Yeah. Anything else that you can think of?
I can't think of.
Yeah. Okay. Just
else.
Curious.
But for us, one of the reasons why we got this is not our first summer where we had terrible
Oh,
air
smoke.
quality.
Yeah.
So the smog and the wildfires,
Mm-hmm.
they all,
Well, this is bringing in that smoky air from outside, but it's filtering it,
but it's filtering it.
and you're killing any viruses.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's a good solution, and actually, in fact, a required solution for homes that are very tight.
Yeah.
So I must admit that our envelope, the building envelope, has improved through the measures we've taken, like insulation, but it's not perfect yet.
Yeah.
If you had a newly built house where all those passive house standards were met, then you could not live without such a system,
Right.
because you needed an air exchange
Right.
that meets health standards.
Yeah. You want to show us one other thing that makes this house super sustainable?
Yes, and it's actually something that is lacking in most houses, new construction or old construction. It's this is what we call the rim joist, and that's often very badly insulated.
Yeah.
And
Usually they just stuff fiberglass with no jacket on it.
and that has been fixed here.
Yeah.
The silver stuff here is polyiso, which is a rigid foam, and that has then been sealed with open cell foam,
Yep. Right.
and prevented any
Right.
leakage to the
Right.
outside.
And the one thing we didn't mention is that normally geothermal is used for radiant floor heating, but in my understanding, but in your case, because it was an already existing home with a duct forced air system, you're basically using that the geothermal heat and cooling to heat or cool forced air, and therefore the ducts.
Therefore, the ducts.
Okay, well, thanks for the tour.